To never die of truth is to rise even when the world buries you under the rubble of silence. It is to walk alone through fire, knowing that the path scorched with honesty is still the only one worthy of your footprints. It is to lose everything and yet refuse to lose yourself. There is something sacred in standing for truth, not because it guarantees safety, or applause, or comfort, but because it aligns you with a purpose far beyond human approval. The truth, in its rawest form, is dangerous to the unjust and liberating to the soul. It strips illusions and leaves only essence. But that essence, when guarded by the courageous, never fades. It never dies. People have died for many reasons: fame, greed, love, anger, but to die of truth is a death reserved only for the brave. And yet, what if truth becomes so unbearable that people suffocate in its weight? What if it isolates you, punishes you, drives you to the edge of the cliff? The calling then is not to give up but to rise higher. Never die of truth. Never let the weight of honesty be the weight that buries you. Let it become the wings that lift you beyond the reach of lies. Let it purify you, and even if it breaks you, let it build you again in a shape more real than before. Throughout history, truth has never needed a crowd, it only needed a witness. One voice to declare, "I will not lie. I will not pretend. I will not betray what I know to be right." That one voice echoes louder than armies. And yet, it is a lonely voice. Truth costs. It always costs. But the reward of integrity is not what the world gives you, it's what you become when you refuse to be bought. You don't lie to survive, you survive because you don't lie. Truth doesn't kill people, pretending does. Living a lie is the slowest form of death. Some will say, keep your head down, go with the flow, don't stir the waters. They'll warn you that telling the truth will ruin your peace. But what peace is left in cowardice? What dignity exists in silence when your soul is screaming to speak? If your truth is rejected, it's not your shame to carry. If your truth costs you relationships, jobs, money, then what have you really lost? Can anything stolen by deceit ever be called yours? You were not born to blend in with falsehood. You were born to stand tall, to carve light into the darkest rooms with the blade of your sincerity. Even when your voice trembles, speak. Even when your knees shake, stand. Even when the world closes its ears, let your truth be a thunder that cannot be ignored. Because the moment you betray your truth, something within you dies. And that kind of death is worse than any execution, it's the quiet assassination of your soul. To live without truth is to breathe without air. You may survive, but you will never truly live. The man who guards his truth guards his worth. The woman who refuses to be silenced becomes a storm against injustice. And the child who learns to speak what is right becomes the kind of adult who changes the world. Yes, truth has consequences. It may make you a target. It may make you lonely. But it will also make you whole. And wholeness is more valuable than safety. What good is a life that is secure but hollow? What joy is there in applause when it echoes off a mask? What pride is there in success if it was bought by bending your spine? There will be moments when your truth feels like a burden too heavy to carry. You will look around and see liars thriving, cheaters winning, cowards being celebrated. But do not envy the hollow. Do not wish for the comfort of the dishonest. For they have exchanged their essence for a performance. You still have your soul. And as long as you do, you are richer than all of them. The truth will ask you for sacrifice. It will ask you to walk away from what looks good on the surface. It will ask you to say no when the world begs you to say yes. But it will never ask you to become less than what you are. It will never ask you to betray your heart. Truth, at its core, is a return to self. It is the voice of your conscience when all other voices grow quiet. If you stand for truth, be ready to stand alone. But in that solitude, you will find the presence of every soul who ever stood before you. You will feel the strength of martyrs, reformers, prophets, and warriors who chose to speak even when it cost them everything. And in their legacy, you will find the courage to keep going. Never die of truth. Die with truth if you must, but never of it. Never let it become the poison, it is the cure. The disease is silence. The illness is compromise. Truth will cut you, but it will also cleanse you. And what you lose in comfort, you will gain in character. A single honest word can tear down a kingdom of lies. A single act of integrity can expose years of deception. That is why truth is feared. That is why it is attacked. But that is also why it is immortal. You cannot kill the truth. You can silence the speaker, burn the books, erase the names, but truth will rise again, because it is not owned by one man, one nation, or one time. It lives in the hearts of the brave, and as long as even one heart beats with honesty, truth breathes. There are moments in life where the truth becomes your only weapon. Not a sword, but a shield. And in the battlefield of lies, the shield is what saves you. Even if you lose the war, you walked off with your soul intact. That is a victory few can claim. When the night grows cold and the world grows quiet, ask yourself, what did I lose today by being honest? Perhaps you lost approval, attention, opportunities. But what did you gain? Dignity. Peace. Alignment with your deepest self. And those gains are not loud, but they are lasting. You don't have to scream the truth to make it powerful. Sometimes, the quietest act of resistance is the boldest, refusing to laugh at the cruel joke, declining to nod at the lie, choosing to leave rather than to join in the betrayal. These are the quiet truths that build unshakable character. To never die of truth is to let it live inside you so fiercely that it lights up even your pain. Even your struggles become meaningful. Even your loneliness becomes sacred. Because when you carry the truth, you are never truly alone. You are in the company of every soul who ever refused to bow. Loyalty to the truth means being disloyal to comfort. It means choosing growth over popularity, substance over style, reality over illusion. It means calling yourself out before others do. It means admitting when you're wrong and standing firm when you're right. This world needs more people who cannot be bought, who cannot be swayed, who cannot be reshaped into something false. The world needs people who bleed honesty, who walk with justice, who smile with integrity and weep with compassion. People who would rather lose everything than lose themselves. Truth is not about being right all the time. It's about being real all the time. It's about owning your flaws as honestly as your strengths. It's about standing up even after you've fallen, especially after you've fallen, and saying, I still choose truth. In the end, your truth will be the story that outlives you. Not your wealth, not your fame, but the legacy of your honesty. Will they say you conformed, or will they say you confronted? Will they remember your silence, or your stance? Your truth, lived boldly, becomes a lighthouse for those drowning in darkness. So do not let fear shrink you. Do not let pressure deform you. Do not let pain define you. Let truth be the fire that forges you. Let it burn away every illusion, every insecurity, every mask. Let it leave behind only what is real, what is brave, what is eternal. You may tremble, but speak. You may falter, but walk. You may cry, but rise. For the truth you carry is greater than the fear that tries to bury it. And every step you take in its name is a victory no lie can erase. Never die of truth. Live it. Speak it. Stand with it. And if the world pushes you to the edge, let it know, this soul cannot be bought, this voice will not be silenced, and this heart will not betray what it knows. Because truth, once chosen, becomes your home. And no storm can destroy a house built on truth. Truth is not the easy road, it is often the loneliest and most difficult one. It doesn't bend to convenience or change according to pressure. To live truthfully means to stand tall even when your knees are shaking. It's the willingness to speak when others are silent, to stand when others bow, and to stay real when everyone is performing. Comfort is seductive, it asks you to stay quiet, avoid conflict, and maintain your position in the crowd. But courage asks more, it asks you to risk that comfort for something higher. It asks you to pay the price of authenticity, even if it costs you relationships, status, or peace. Every great change in history has come from people who valued truth over comfort, and it is their courage that lives on. Approval is temporary. It's a wave that rises and falls with trends, opinions, and politics. People may clap for you today and curse you tomorrow. But integrity, your commitment to live according to your values, is what remains when applause fades. Seeking approval often means sacrificing part of your truth, shaping your words to please, and hiding your soul just to fit in. But a life built on truth doesn't need validation from others. Integrity doesn't ask, will they like me? It asks, am I right with myself? A person of integrity may not always be celebrated, but they sleep with peace, they walk with pride, and they live without fear of being exposed, because there is nothing false in them to expose. Many people misuse truth like a sword, to hurt, to judge, or to destroy. But real truth is a shield. It protects you from the poison of deception, from being controlled by lies, and from living a false version of yourself. When truth is your shield, it doesn't make you aggressive, it makes you grounded. You no longer need to pretend, to impress, or to defend lies. You become stable in yourself. When accusations come, when falsehoods surround you, your truth becomes your defense. It shields your conscience. It safeguards your relationships. It keeps your soul clean. You may be attacked, but you won't be shaken, because you stood behind truth, not behind ego. There is a time to be quiet, and there is a time when silence becomes complicity. When you see injustice, cruelty, or lies spreading and choose not to speak, your silence becomes part of the problem. You might tell yourself you're neutral or staying out of trouble, but deep inside, you know you're betraying what you believe. Speaking the truth doesn't always mean shouting in protest. Sometimes, it means simply not laughing at a cruel joke, not nodding at a lie, or not participating in a corrupt system. Silence may protect you temporarily, but the cost is internal. You begin to feel divided. You lose your voice. And over time, you lose yourself. Better to be uncomfortable with truth than comfortable with betrayal. Lies can win you opportunities, money, praise, and even influence, for a while. But nothing built on falsehoods lasts. Lies are fragile. They require constant maintenance. They multiply, trap you, and eventually collapse. Truth, on the other hand, is slow but eternal. It doesn't give you quick wins, but it builds a name that lasts beyond your life. The people we honor most in history weren't perfect, they were honest. They stood for something. They told the truth when it was dangerous. They left behind not just memories, but movements. When you live in truth, your life becomes more than existence, it becomes a legacy. You may not be liked by all, but you will be respected by the right ones. And that respect outlives praise. Truth may cost you your job, your popularity, even your safety. But it should never cost you your spirit. If you must fall, fall while standing. If you must lose, lose for something meaningful. Truth should never break you, it should build you into something even stronger. Let your truth be the reason you stand tall when everyone else bows. Let it be your resistance in a world obsessed with appearances. Even if it isolates you, let that isolation refine you, not define you. Truth is not what destroys you, it is what defines your strength. Die with your truth if you must, but never die of it. Let it be your final word, not your silent wound. Let truth be your defiance, a rebellion against every lie that tried to silence you.